Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another exciting edition of the show, Matt. We are getting down in Derby. We got Kentucky Derby preps wall to wall this week.
We sure do. Derby, Derby, Derby. We got three of them, Brian, all across the country.
That's right. And don't forget about the big cap. Watch that all right now here on HorseCenter. Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am very good, Brian. Boy, have we got races to talk about today. Three on the Derby Trail and the Big Cap.
It's a jam-packed show, Matt. And plus, we got to talk a little bit about what happened last week. But let's start with this week first. And I don't know if the West is the best, Matt, but that's where we're going to start. We're going to start at beautiful Santa Anita, the mile on the 16th, San Felipe, race 8 on Saturday at Santa Anita. You got to start talking about these undefeated Bob Baffert trainees, Matt. How about we start with 1,000 words?
Yeah, we sure do. 1,000 words, 3 for 3. We've talked about this horse a good bit already, even though he only has 3 races. Right, Brian? A maiden special weight, a win in the Los Al Futurity, and then this year, a win in the Robert B. Lewis.
Yeah, I like the fact that the son of Pioneer of the Nile, by the way, Pioneer of the Nile, if you remember him, wasn't a horse who often won by open lengths, Matt, and he kind of has taken after his excellent sire. This is 1,000 words. He won on a wet racetrack. He won first out. He won on a wet racetrack at Los Alamitos. And then he was between horses. He had to kind of make his own room in the Robert B. Lewis when a few other horses ran well that day. Again, he's been tested in each and every race. He's been this distance. There's a lot to like here. He may not be as brilliant as his counterpart from the stable. I'm talking about Authentic as the other one. But if you ask me, if you made me say who's the horse to beat in here, I would probably go with the less spectacular of the two Bob Bafferts, and that's 1,000 words.
I would agree with you, Brian, even though on the morning line it looks like Authentic is the favorite there. 1,000 words has the kind of horse that does what he needs to win. Just recently, Baffert gave him a workout. Looked like he's trying to get a little bit more speed into him because we certainly know the distance and endurance isn't going to be a problem for 1,000 words.
Yeah, it looks like this is a horse that will move on to classic distances. But for now, we got the mile and 16th San Felipe, and it might just be that entry mate who he's got to chase early. 1,000 words has good tactical speed. He showed it in each and every race so far in those 3 wins. But Authentic was fast in a sprint when he debuted, and then he was fast in the sham stakes. Now, he was a little erratic, was the son of Into Mischief, coming down the stretch that day, Matt, but he was so far ahead it didn't really much matter.
Yeah, that's for sure. It seems like out of the two, even though they've only run 5 times total in their careers, that 1,000 words is more of the veteran type. The experience shows he's calm on the track, and Authentic seems to be one that has a lot to learn. Whether that means as he learns it, he's going to get better and better, we're going to find out, because this is certainly the first and biggest test for both of these Baffert runners.
Yeah, well, I think 1,000 words has probably raced against better horses than Authentic has to this date. But Authentic, I'll tell you, the horse that was a distant second, who happens to be another Bob Baffert, Azel Coast, went up to San Francisco and won the El Camino Real Derby. So that got a little boost. But it was an easy win in the Sham. Now, Matt Baffert's given him plenty of time since the Sham. That was back on January 4. So we're looking at about 9 weeks since his last race. Authentic likely to be the speed of the speed here in the San Felipe. Likely to be the favorite, too. I think he will be preferred, slightly preferred over 1,000 words. But like I said, I'm kind of leaning to 1,000 words with experience here. Speaking of experience, you got Storm the Court, Matt. He's been through a little bit of everything. Also a debut winner, but he had an unfortunate event in the Del Mar Futurity back early on in his career where he was bumped pretty hard and lost the rider. He was third in a Grade 1 stakes before he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Came back with a 7-furlong race, a little old school by trainer Peter Urton for the son of Court Vision. But he could only manage fourth in the San Vicente that day.
Right, and of course, he was named the 2-year-old champion this year. And, I think both of us will make the assumption that trainer Peter Urton did not have Storm the Court at 100%, wasn't necessarily looking for a victory in that first race back. It was just a stepping stone to get to the Kentucky Derby. This is a tough spot in here, so I'm not quite sure what we'll get from Storm the Court, but as we said with the two Bafferts, this race is definitely a measuring stick.
Yeah, and thanks for reminding me, it was the 2-year-old champion, Matt. I think he's the least talked about 2-year-old champion I can remember in years. Of course, he was a long shot winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And horses that ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile have not come back to win yet, so there's a lot of questions there. Personally, I thought the San Vicente was a good performance. He was between horses for a big chunk of the race, and he finished up well. I happen to think the winner, Nadal, is very good. So I think it is a good prep for this horse, but we really need to see what he can do now against horses of the talent of Thousand Words and Authentic. It'll be interesting to see what the champ has up his sleeve for this mile 16th test, of course, the same distance as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Storm the Court's a 2-year-old champion. He might not be one of the top 3 favorites in the San Felipe, though, Matt. We already talked about the Baffert undefeated pair, but then you got Honor AP. And Honor AP was a horse we talked about a bunch late last year, running in 2 maiden races. The first one, he made up gobs and gobs of ground to get up for second. Then he was on the lead, and he kind of rolled to an easy maiden win in his second career starts. John Sheriffs of Giacomo and even bigger fame, Zenyatta fame. He hasn't raced since October 13th, Matt, but people are still talking about Honor AP.
That's right. It's been since October. That's a long time, Brian. A number of, I guess, minor setbacks along the way in there. So it's hard to know what to expect from Honor AP, particularly off that layoff, coming back and facing a pretty good darn field in here.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough spot. Honor AP, I've always thought he was a good horse ever since I saw his maiden, the son of Honor Code. But really tough spot. We're talking about 5 months off, and then he never raced against anything but maidens. And now he's got a bunch of graded stakes winners here in the San Felipe. So a tough spot for Honor AP, but he's highly regarded. Who else we got in here, Matt? We got a California Chrome half brother, and we got Wrecking Crew. And Matt, I'll tell you what, Wrecking Crew was not that far back in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. If you want a crazy long shot, just draw a line through that sloppy Los Al Futurity. Maybe Wrecking Crew can make some noise at huge odds.
That would be making some noise at a big price for sure, particularly with this field.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Hey, I'm of the opinion that Storm the Court, especially after I saw his last workout, a really nice 5-furlong move the other day. I'm of the opinion that Storm the Court is going to run a good race, representative of his Eclipse Award. Thousand Words will be my top choice, but I want to see the champ run a good race in here. That's what I'm looking for. That'll be my exacta, trying to beat Authentic. And Honor AP, I think this spot might be a little bit too much, but if he can finish well, that would look good moving forward for Honor AP.
Yeah, Thousand Words is going to be my pick also, and I'm probably just going to watch this race.
All right, maybe not the best betting race in the world, but as we go to other Kentucky Derby preps on Saturday, we got big fields, Matt, and a lot of opportunities here. Let's go down to the Gulf Coast of Florida, Tampa Bay Downs for the Tampa Bay Derby. It's the biggest race of the year there. Race number 11 on Saturday's card. They got a bunch of stakes, just like Santa Anita and Aqueduct on Saturday. So great day of racing. Last time Solo Volante ran at Tampa Bay Downs, Matt, I thought he was electrifying, running right by Independence Hall in mid-stretch to win the Sam F. Davis.
Yeah, 12 horses they gathered up for the Tampa Bay Derby, going a mile and a 16th in there, and I agree with you. The Sole Volante for trainer Patrick Biancone was visually impressive in there. I think he as we talked about it after that race, I think he got just a perfect setup. There was a lot of speed in there. Most of the speed collapsed, except for Independence Hall, who fought on, but Sole Valente went by very impressively. The question, I guess, is going to be, as we look at this field, is he going to get that same kind of setup in this race?
Yeah, I think one way or the other, it's going to be a little bit tougher race for Sole Volante here. It was almost striking how much ground was made on the turn in that race. The speed really was coming back. Independence Hall, though, very highly regarded horse. They were way ahead of the rest of the field. Independence Hall put up a fight for a while, but Sole Volante was not to be denied in his second dirt race. Patrick Bianicone is certainly on a roll. So Sole Volante looks like the horse to beat in here, but a horse who beat him 2 starts back is likely second choice, I'd say, Matt. That's Chance It, son of Currency Swap for Safi Joseph.
Yes, and we talked about Chance It last week heading into the Fountain of Youth. But when he drew the 12 post position, Safi said, we're not going to race at Gulfstream Park in that short run to the turn. We're going to scratch. We're going to go to the Tampa Bay Derby and hope for a more favorable situation. They got a much better draw getting the 4-hole in there. But like you said, Brian, this is it has been since January when he won the Macho Man, which was a very good field. And that was a very impressive performance. And I guess it turns out to be even more impressive considering the second place and third place finishers in that race. In the Mutual Macho Man, Chance It showed that he could sit off the pace. I think he's probably going to be wise if he does that again, because I think there's a lot of speed signed on.
Yeah, it looks like there is some pace in here, but Chance It has proven to be a tactical horse as well as a horse with a good amount of speed. Hey, listen, he's run 6 races. They're all at Gulfstream Park. This will be his first time away from Gulfstream Park. Tampa, a very different track than Gulfstream, but he's run really well. He's just a hard-trying horse. He's run really well in all 6 of those starts. Scratched out of the Fountain of Youth. The outside post didn't serve to hurt Indien too much, who was 1 spot inside of Chance It had Chance It run. But it would have been a harder spot, certainly, there with that even farther outside post for Chance It. They get Paco Lopez now. Tyler Gaffley Leon will be out in California. So Paco Lopez, a good rider of horses who like to be on or near the lead, will be riding Chance It for the first time. And certainly deserving second choice in here, it looks like, at the very worst. Now we get into these horses who may be good, but we just don't know, Matt. And there's a bunch of them here in the Tampa Bay Derby. Let's start with Todd Pletcher's trio. Texas Swing, a son of Curlin. Market Analysis, a son of Honor Code. And then Unrighteous, a maiden, a son of Violence. I think all 3 are interesting in their own way.
They are, and out of the 3, I think that Market Analysis will get the most attention at the windows. First debut winner for Todd Pletcher, son of Honor Code, won a maiden special weight at Gulfstream Park over a horse named Attachment Rate, who is heading up to New York for the Gotham for Dale Romans. And he's 9-2 on the morning line up there. Yeah.
Attachment Rate, I think, is a nice looking horse for Dale Romans. We're going to talk about more about him in the Gotham analysis, but Market Analysis beat him in the first race. Interestingly, Market Analysis looked like a winner the whole way, but Attachment Rate was really picking him up in that maiden race. And then Attachment Rate came back. It was a wet mile at Gulfstream, but he romped the next time out. So that made Market Analysis first out win look even better. Yeah, I think you're right. I think of the Pletchers, he's the one that's going to get bet the most. But Texas Swing, the son of Curlin, coming off a nice win over the track at Tampa Bay Downs. You can't ignore him. And then if you're looking at a long shot, I think my favorite long shot in the race is Pletcher's third horse, and that's Unrighteous, who really improved second time out. He ran a 9-furlong race at Gulfstream, and it was a very good-looking race. Spa City was the winner also in this race. And Unrighteous ran a very good race second time out. I think he might be an improving Son of Violence for Todd Pletcher. He would be my long shot in here, and I think he will be a long shot, even though he's trained by Todd Pletcher. But then we got to mention the other one, the horse that beat him, Matt, Spa City, a Son of Street Sense for Kieran McLaughlin.
Yeah, we certainly do. Spa City, out of that maiden race, has seemingly caught a lot of people's eyes, and he caught the eye of the committee that picks horses for the Kentucky Derby Future Wager number 3, because they put Spa City on the list of the 23 best, maybe 3-year-olds heading to the Derby. Son of Street Sense, Godolphin, so the Godolphin breds, he's got a good female side too. Trained by Kieran McLaughlin, a horse that's getting better, and who knows, is probably going to come with maybe with double-digit odds.
Yeah, maybe. I think they got to bet him a little bit. That maiden win was so good, and the fact that he is on the Derby Future Wager, I think he'll get bet a little bit more than that. But interesting that they're cutting back to a mile 16th, both Spa City and Unrighteous, 2 horses who could be improving quickly for big-time connections. Matt, I look at that Sam F. Davis, and I just can't pick anybody to win this other than Sole Volante. It just looks so good, the son of Karakentai did in the Sam F. Davis, and I'm going to stick with him. I think he can go back-to-back at Tampa Bay Downs, but I'm going to throw in a bomb for second, and my bomb is the horse I think that will get ignored a little bit from the Todd Pletcher barn, and that's Unrighteous. I just have a feeling that he's a nice horse waiting to prove it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Brian, going into the race before I got a chance to look at the PPs, figuring Chance It, Sole Valente, I was leaning towards Chance It, but then when I got a look at the race and saw the amount of speed in there, I thought that once again, Sole Valente is going to get a really good setup, and we know that he loves the Tampa Bay Racing Service. Another horse that I'm interested in that's going to come with big odds is number 10, Bye Bye Melvin, going turf to dirt for Graham Motion. A couple of big wins on the turf at Tampa, and Motion decides to go in the Tampa Bay Derby. Little curious. I'm interested to see what happens. Has some speed. Maybe at the very least, he's going to ensure a fast pace in here.
Yeah, that turf to dirt angle again, Matt. You got to watch it. All right, Matt and I are both picking Sole Volante to win the Tampa Bay Derby. That probably improves the chances of Chance It a whole lot, folks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, Matt, let's go to the third big Kentucky Derby prep. Now, this is a one-turn Kentucky Derby prep, so it remains to be seen if these horses will end up in the Kentucky Derby. But the Gotham is a race with great history, and there's some talented-looking horses going that one-turn mile at Aqueduct on Saturday. First and foremost, we got to start with a runaway winner of the Swale, Matt. He kind of blew a good field away in the Swale, talking about the son of Into Mischief, Mischievous Alex.
Yeah, and interestingly, the Gotham in that one-turn mile and the 50 points and a $300 purse has brought in a field of 11. That's a big field for the Gotham, which typically doesn't draw that many. And there's all kinds in there, and we're talking about a Derby prep race, and the entire field, Brian, together only has 2 Kentucky Derby points earned. So it's that kind of wide open field. And yeah, Mischievous Alex is the obvious choice, the obvious favorite in there with that victory in the Swale. And before that, he has a stakes victory as a 2-year-old in the Parks Juvenile. He's got other good races in there, and the races that he didn't win, he has valid excuses in those races. This is going to be, one-turn mile. He's gone 7 furlongs. One-turn mile seems to be a really good fit for this horse. Going to be the favorite, John Service of Smarty Jones fame, but probably going to be the favorite.
Probably going to be the favorite, and he deserves to be the favorite. Draw a line through that turf race, and he looks better and better. But those last 2 7-furlong races, first at Parks, then at Gulfstream Park in the Swale, it just looks so good. And I think something we're seeing in that Swale, Matt, is the horses that were behind him are pretty good horses. We're going to see a few in this race. So let's talk about one of them, Untitled, who had a slow break in the Swale, and he was kind of making up ground after running away with his debut performance. Now, Untitled, for trainer Mark Hasse, has had another race since the Swale, unlike Mischievous Alex, where he was second in an allowance race, but that was a good second to Gouverneur Morris.
Yeah, of course, Gouverneur Morris from Todd Pletcher maybe is Todd Pletcher's leading Derby contender at this point. And as we know with Cassie horses, he runs them, and he runs them to get them sharp, and he runs them to get into shape and to be experienced. So even though this one's running from the outside, he's a serious contender in this field.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he went a good mile where some of these horses are jumping up from sprint races. Untitled's already run a good mile. I think that can only help him, but he does have quite a bit to make up on Mischievous Alex from that Swale. All right, Matt, we mentioned him in the previous race, but let's talk about him now in the Gotham. Let's talk about attachment rate. This is a horse who could be any kind. I like the breeding. The son of Hard Spun comes from the Dale Romans barn. Dale Romans had a tough day. He won big with Mr. Freeze, but of course, Dennis's Moment did nothing last weekend, finished last weekend. So now Dale Romans is looking maybe for another horse that can get him to the Kentucky Derby. Not that Dennis's Moment is completely out of it, but things don't look good right now. Attachment rate second behind Market Analysis 2 starts ago. Then he got a wet track at a mile in Gulfstream and just rolled.
Yeah, and Dale Romans is no stranger to sending horses successfully up to the Gotham. He won the race a few years ago with J Boy's Echo. He had a third with Free Drop Billy. So Dale sending him up to take a shot. Yeah,
and I like the fact that he's got those 2 recent races at Gulfstream Park, and he can make up some ground in here. I think he's a very dangerous horse in here. Another dangerous horse, perhaps one of 2 for Linda Rice, is Montauk Traffic, Matt. He's on a bit of a winning streak, going 7 furlongs at Aqueduct.
He sure is. Linda Rice is the leading trainer at Aqueduct in the winter meeting. Montauk Traffic broke his maiden, came back, and won the Jimmy Wingfield Opened a stakes race, going 7 furlongs, coming from off the pace. Let me tell you, Brian, you can't minimize the importance of having races over the track at Aqueduct, because I'll tell you, last week the Aqueduct racetrack was extremely slow, the times, and deep track. I don't know if we'll see that same kind of track for the big day. The big day on Saturday, we'll see. Tomorrow there's racing, but you got to like and respect Montauk Traffic a lot in here because of those 7 furlong races. I don't think the extra furlong is going to make a difference. It may probably just also be a benefit for this horse who's going to come running at the end.
Yeah, I expect him to get bet a little bit. He could be the second choice. The son of Cross Traffic coming off 2 straight 7 furlong wins, just like Mischievous Alex, the favorite, who's coming from Florida by way of Parks. Matt, I am thinking that attachment rate has some real ability in here, and I think maybe some of the favorite, or maybe a couple of the favorites, will be slowing down a little bit late on this track that you say is extremely slow most of the time. So I think attachment rate is a big shot. Mischievous Alex, if he runs to the Swale, it's hard to see him losing, but I think attachment rate has a big shot in here, so I'm going to box those 2. Hopefully they won't get on the Romans bandwagon too much after Dennis's Moments poor race last weekend.
Brian, you haven't hit on my top choice yet.
Go for it, Matt. Tell me.
I'm going to give you a bomb in here, folks, and I agree with you, Brian, that if Mischievous Alex runs his race in here, he's probably going to be really hard to beat, and I'll probably use him with my horse. But my top play, I don't know, Brian, could be 15-1, could be 20-1 when they go in the gate. I'm going to put on top Informative for Uriah St. Louis, who has come to Aqueduct on many occasions before and released the big bomb to win. Informative just broke his maiden at Aqueduct. So we know he likes the track. He's going to be rallying from behind. He broke his maiden in his 8th try, and you folks must be saying, Matt, what the heck is going on with Matt? Well, 8th try, but the 2 races before his maiden victory were stakes races. He has a 2nd in a stakes race at Laurel, and then he has a 4th in on the Derby Trail at Aqueduct. So may have taken a number of races to break his maiden, but those were a couple of good ones in there. He's going to come running at the end, and if everybody else is tired and this track is deep, watch out for Informative.
Yeah, Informative. It ran in the Remsen at 1 1/8 at Aqueduct, so he's got some background to him at least. I'm not high on him in here. I'm not sold that he's just as good as some of these others. Matt, I think you should get 20 to 1 in here. There's a few others in here that will also get below him that we haven't mentioned. I thought you might be talking about the Eric Guillot first out winner from Son of Curlin, but no, you're on your man. And that trainer's sprung some upsets. I remember, Matt. Wasn't there a Jockey Club Gold Cup not too long ago? One at very big odds. So
Discreet Lover.
Discreet Lover, that's the one. All right. So Matt's going bombs. I am not, but should be a very interesting edition of the Gotham. Let's swing back out west, Matt. I want to talk about the Big Caps. Speaking of races with a lot of history, the Big Cap is one of the most historic races in American racing. And I'll tell you one thing I like about this Big Cap. It's not the greatest field in the world. But I like that it truly is a handicap race, Matt, and I'm interested in these weights. Gift Box, I think, is one of the best handicap horses in the country. He's proven that over the last 14 months or so. He won 2 San Antonios in a row, getting the 2nd San Antonio in December, and he ran a really good race last year to beat McKinsey in the same race. He's in at 126, Matt.
126. Wow, that's a lot of weight.
It is nowadays.
That's a lot of weight, Brian. Trained by John Sadler, the son of Twirling Candy, is the obvious top choice in here. Sadler is going for his 3rd Big Cap in a row.
Yeah. He's won with Gift Box, and of course the year before he won with Accelerate. Gift Box is a nice horse. He's been away since late in the year last year, so it's been a few months, but 7-year-old Gray is a real pro and very likely to run a strong race in here. A horse he beat in that San Antonio repeat win was Midcourt, and if you look at Midcourt in at 123 in the Big Cap, the son of Midnight Loot for trainer John Shirrips has won 5 of his last 6. His only loss was to Gift Box 2 starts ago. Midcourt came back with a nice win in the San Pasquale since.
Yeah, I was just going to say, nice win in the San Pasquale. That's a grade 2. That's the best quality race that he has won in his career. So this is a little bit of a step up, but this is certainly not the strongest grade 1 type field around.
Yeah, Gift Box should really be a clear favorite, and I expect Midcourt to be a heavy second choice. But neither of those are going to be my top pick in here, Matt. My top pick is only 115 on the weights. Here we're talking about a true handicap race. He's getting 11 pounds from Gift Box. He's getting 8 pounds from Midcourt. I'm talking about Endorsed. Endorsed is a very lightly raced 4-year-old, the son of Medaglia d'Oro. Looked like he was getting good last year. He rallied for a decent race in the Travers. But I'll tell you what, that Travers shows that he could get the distance because he was passing horses at that 1.25 mile distance at Saratoga last summer. Fortunately, he didn't race again the rest of the year, but then he came back with a nice allowance win January 11th at Gulfstream Park. Medaglia d'Oro, he's only had 6 starts. Kieran McLaughlin trains him for Godolphin. I think Endorsed might be a handicap horse who can really make some noise this year. I like the east to west angle. I like the fact that I think he'll be running down the stretch, and I really like those 11 pounds, Matt.
Yeah, and he's certainly going to have to put more races together than he has done in his career before. You mentioned an allowance race. That's the highest level race that he has won, but all through his career, he's flashed potential, he's flashed talent, and he'll be making one of his last starts for trainer Kieran McLaughlin, and that's kind of a little bit of a potential story.
Yeah, Kieran McLaughlin has some good horses running Saturday, and of course, Kieran McLaughlin will be retiring from training to become a jockey agent again, which he was a long time ago before a very successful year training. So Endorse is my pick in there, Matt. Upsetting Gift Box in the big cap. Speaking of big handicap horses, Matt, how about that Maximum Security? We finally got, or at least I finally got, you've been on them longer than me, we finally got on the bandwagon of Maximum Security just in time to watch him win the world's richest race, Matt. I thought he was so game and so tough with Mucho Gusto swerving in and out in front of him. He just kept coming in the 9 furlong Saudi Cup, and he was not going to be denied.
He was not going to be denied. Game, tough, competitive, determined. That all of those words describe Maximum Security to a T, and he puts out 100% of that in his races, and he needed it to win against this big field. Tell you, coming around the turn with a long way to go, and Maximum Security's done this before. It looks like he's struggling, but he gets going and sees those horses, and he wants to get to the finish line first. It was a nice ride by Luis Saez to not fall into the herding tactics of Irad Ortiz, who tried to herd him out and then tried to herd him in, and then a number of different moves and shenanigans down the stretch when clearly he didn't have the best horse. But I'll tell you what, Brian, some of those adjectives that we use to describe Maximum Security need to get thrown over to the second place finisher.
Yeah, Maximum Security. By the way, Luis Saez is the jockey Matt complimented for winning the Saudi Cup aboard Maximum Security. He is the jockey that Kieran McLaughlin will be agenting for very soon. But yeah, Midnight Pursuit. First off, Maximum Security. I thought this might be his best race to date. Only one horse. I believe he's had 10 lifetime starts, and one horse still has finished ahead of him to the wire. Just one horse in those 10 races. So we got to start talking about Maximum Security as really a special kind of horse that he is, and hopefully he'll be around the whole year back here in America after he comes. He's not going to run the Dubai World Cup. Midnight Pursuit, yes, Matt, the female. She's always been a hard trying. She does not run bad races, and the Saudi Cup was proof of that. I think the one turn setup benefited her. I don't like her going farther, really. 9 furlongs, one turn is a good spot for her. She's always done well at Belmont, which might be a similar layout and surface as the Saudi track there. But she ran a really, really good race for jockey Mike Smith and Bloom Racing up the rail, trainer Steve Asmussen. And like I said, Maximum Security was never going to let her by, but she was definitely second best.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm glad to hear that they're both skipping the Dubai World Cup and coming home. So we'll get to see them earlier in the summer as opposed to later.
Yeah, some others will be in the Dubai World Cup from America, but not these two. Matt, we need to mention some big things at Florida last week, too. Zula Alpha quickly becoming one of America's best turf horses. Mr. Freeze has put together some very good races lately for trainer Dale Romans. Was a nice winner at the Gulfstream Park Mile. Tunnel of Shape did it again. She was best in the Devona Dale, although I still think Spice is Nice has a whole lot of potential, the second place finisher in the Devona Dale. But how about Ete Indien just dismantling the field in the Fountain of Youth?
Yeah, that was a visually impressive performance. Got hustled from the outside to the lead. The other potentially speed horses did not really go with that horse, and that was the end of the race. So we'll see after that. I think maybe you're a lot higher on Ete Indien at this point than I am.
Well, he's run 3 very good races at Gulfstream Park. I am not high on the horses that ran behind him in the Fountain Youth, that's for sure. I don't think anybody else showed up. I don't know if Indien is a Kentucky Derby winning kind of horse, but clearly he's a talented horse who's running very well right now. Further flatters Tis the Law, who beat him in the Holy Bull 2 starts back, and further shows that trainer Patrick Biancone, a French trainer that's been on my radar now for about 40 years, since he trained some really nice turf horses back in the day, has 2 serious Kentucky Derby horses this year, so that's interesting. All right, Matt, that's a show. There was a lot jam-packed in this one, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get a parting shot, though, before we go, from Mr. Schiffman.
Parting shot. I want to compliment trainer Mark Casse for speaking up about the use of the drug clenbuterol. Let's get our heads together in the racing world. Stop worrying about Lasix, which there is no proof that that drug is causes horses to break down on the racetrack. And let's get clenbuterol out of the game. It is clearly, and everybody knows it, a performance-enhancing drug which puts horses at risk. Forget about Lasix, and let's get rid of clenbuterol. Thank you, Mark Casse. And my rant is done.
Well done, Matt, and well done, Mark Casse. There is no racing without the horse, so we need to take care of the horse first. And we're working towards that. And people like Mark Casse speaking up is only a good thing. All right, folks, that's our show. This week we are going to be, next week we're going to be back a little bit earlier in the week, I believe, and we're going to be talking about a big rebel down in Arkansas, the Oaklawn Park. Prep for the Arkansas Derby is coming up in a little over a week. Matt and I are also due to bust out some rankings, so we always enjoy coming out with our top 10 for the Kentucky Derby. All that next week, right here on HorseCenter. Thanks for watching, folks. If you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, do it now. Thank you to our producer, Brett Workman. And thank you to our sponsor, the best contest site out there. That's Derby Wars. We'll see you next week.